interesting in there?
No, it's been long abandoned, maybe even before.
Radek?
Radek! Radek! It's on my back! Radek!
This is Jason Artiga, and this is another episode of Cinema Macabro. Today's episode, I'm going to give a quick review on Annihilation, written and directed by Alex Garland and based on a novel by James Vandermeer. I didn't know what to expect when I first saw Annihilation, and I saw it this weekend, and I could have saw this film 2 years ago at a Manhattan screening, and I couldn't make it because I'm a 9-to-5er, which sucks because Alex Garland has an impressive resume of written films, even his written work in video games from Shallow Grave, 28 Days Later, Sunshine, Ex Machina. And recently it was revealed that not only he wrote 2012's Dread, but he also directed it. Makes him a talented director because Ex Machina, his last film, was an absolutely amazing piece of sci-fi and neo-noir. The film centers around Lena, played by Natalie Portman, who's being interrogated after an expedition gone wrong. And this is pretty much early in the movie. Lena reveals that some of her team are either dead or missing. Lena's a sole survivor, and weeks earlier, Lena was going through the depression of the loss of her husband, who possibly went missing MIA in a covert mission. Unable to cope with her friends and a recent affair, she goes home to paint her house to notice that her husband, Kane, played by Oscar Isaac, has returned, but he seems distant. He begins to become gravely ill, which Lena attempts to take him to the hospital, only to be stopped by a tactical team surrounded by helicopters. She then wakes up in a top-secret military compound, and she's told by Dr. Ventrance, a psychologist played by Jennifer Jason Leigh, that her husband went into the Shimmer with a team. The Shimmer is an anomaly, an environmental disaster zone that is enveloping a small part of Florida and continues to get bigger and bigger. She tells Lena that the teams that were sent into the Shimmer before never came out, and that our husband, Kane, was the only one to come out barely alive. Lena volunteers to go into the Shimmer to investigate what's killing her husband, and she's a biologist and a former soldier who met her husband during combat. Dr. Ventress and 3 others, who are all women, go into the Shimmer, accompany her to get information. The expedition team is made up of a biologist, anthropologist, psychologist, surveyor, and linguist. In, they start to see mutations in both plant and animal. What the Shimmer does is refracts the DNA, changing the creatures. At one point, giving an alligator shark's teeth, or just changing the biology functions of an animal or plant. Some of the mutations are good and beautiful, and others are downright scary. Their goal is to reach the lighthouse where the Shimmer first appeared, the origin, and then back home. However, some of the mutations of apex predators await them, along with the mystery of the Shimmer. I like the way the film quickly shows that the mission went awry, and the mystery to the expedition is pretty much a drive to the film's conclusion. All I can think about is references to H.P. Lovecraft, The Color in Space, and the way the storytelling is back and forth to the present, like The Mountains of Madness. I was impressed not only by the brilliant directing of Alex Garland, but the script and the acting was really good, especially in one of the more tense scenes where paranoid and stressed Anya, played by Jane the Virgin's Gina Rodriguez, ties up the team and tries to get info. It reminded me of a certain scene in John Carpenter's The Thing. The Shimmer's mutation goes from downright beautiful to the body horror grotesqueness, almost like John Carpenter's The Thing, but for some reason I can say more Junji Ito references. There is one scene where Lena finds a memory card and plays it and sees her husband recording a scene where one of the last team's members is affected. I won't go into details, but it was really nasty. And definitely a Junji Ito body horror reference in that scene. I can see a huge Kubrick inspiration from the film. The shimmer's very much like the monolith in 2001. It's shrouded in mystery. We don't know its true motives till the end. And that's the kind of intrigue I think that is missing from sci-fi now these days. See, Annihilation is a high concept sci-fi film, and to me, this is definitely going down in history as one of the best sci-fi movies ever made. The film has some really terrifying scenes, including a predator that's stalking the team that I don't want to go into detail. The CG is done really good, and it's really the stuff of nightmares. It's well done for a film that's shot on a $40 million budget, and I was surprised because I constantly bring up the shitty Jurassic Park movies that have came out during the years and how the CG just goes from bad to worse. This film just knocks it out the park. The cinematography by Rob Hardy, who worked on Garland and Ex Machina, he does a wonderful job here. It's excellent. The colors of the shimmer's effect on the earth are lavish, and you can see that this is pretty much a different world we have never saw before. Shot on the Red Weapon Dragon and a multitude of scene Alta cameras with Panavision lenses, the film has a great cinematic look. The film was shot on 6K and digitally graded to 4K. The film was shot in the UK, doubling back for Blackwater, Florida. The acting was amazing, especially Natalie Portman, who is on her A game. And I gotta say that the numerous references used to the movie, you can see references to Quatermass in the Pit, which is one of my favorite brainy sci-fi films, and definitely 2001. Annihilation is the perfect sci-fi movie for people who like an intelligent sci-fi film that has plenty of mystery and added terror and tension. Go see it. And guys, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section, and please subscribe. The more subscribers I have, the better. I just recently had a huge jump in subscribers, about 11, and that makes me feel good. So guys, I'll see you guys at the next episode.